let me thank him for his great remarks and call Captain Menefee to the podium. I'd like to thank him for making the long trip from America to be with us. By the way, I am delighted that today's conference, we have with us about 30 shipping companies on the various panels presenting their strategy. We have with us 3 major classification societies, the largest ship registry. We have the U.S. Coast Guard. We could not have the conference without them, given the topic, and the IMO. So we have major institutions involved with maritime education. So really, I have to say I'm particularly grateful for the quality of the presenters we have, the banks, and so on. So I hope you will enjoy the rest of the day.
Okay, well, thank you for having me here today. I'm quite honored to be invited to present here. Hopefully, I'm presenting on one of the more favorite topics of ship owners and ship charters, so I think it should be somewhat interesting. Again, my name is Commander Nathan Menefee. I am at the U.S. Coast Guard headquarters in the Inspections and Compliance Directorate. I work under Captain Jennifer Williams, who is the director, and her boss is Admiral John Netto, who some of you may have met before in some other events. So my goal here today is to really just try to give you a snapshot of where we're at today, and some best practices that we're seeing out in the industry, and to not focus too much on the past and how we got here. So with that, I will try to advance the slide here. Is this the clicker? There we go. Okay, so currently today we have 10 Coast Guard type approved systems. As you can see up on the screen, they represent a number of different manufacturers from a number of different countries. We also are seeing a number of different independent laboratories being involved with the type approval process, and of course different treatment types to address different needs, and of course different capacities to address different needs aboard ships. We have 18 systems under review presently, so those are in various stages nearing type approval process, and then over 50 letters of intent from manufacturers who have essentially stated their intent to submit a application for a type approved system to the Coast Guard in the very near future. So that's kind of where we're at today, and of course this number of approved systems is why the U.S. has shifted towards a compliance stature, or compliance posture, rather than an educational posture. So we are now fully enforcing our regulations, primarily because of the number of type approved systems that are here today. This is to give you a snapshot of where we are at with extensions, compliance extensions. So before we had 10 type approved systems, back when we had 0 or just 3, we did grant a number of extensions to operators until systems could be brought into approval that would fit their specific needs. So you can see 2016, almost 8,000 systems, or 8,000 extensions granted. And then that number has gone down quite significantly now in 2018. And in fact, that red that you see there is the number of denials that we are giving towards extension requests. So you can see that that's changing. To get an extension now, you would have to be providing some very specific reasons why one of the specific type approved systems does not fit your need, and why you cannot install one within a reasonable amount of time. So that gives you a snapshot of how we are doing with extensions. This slide really tells a story of what is coming in the future. What I wanted to express upon the attendees here is just the number of vessels that are going to have to actually install a Coast Guard type approved system in the coming years at the end of their extension timeframe. And as you can see in 2021 and 22 and into 23, there is a large number of vessels that are going to be needing to get that system installed. That raises some important questions, dry dock capacities around the world to be able to handle these different installations, manufacturer capacities to be able to install these systems in that time frame. Those could all pose challenges, and particularly it could pose great challenges to operators and owners who have not made a plan of how they're going to comply at the end of their extension, or if they have not even addressed compliance with Coast Guard regulations to date, if they do intend to travel and trade in the United States. So this is important because it does highlight a potential looming issue. It's not to say that there will be an issue, but it just gives you an awareness of what might be lying ahead. And of course, this doesn't account for all of the operators that are installing IMO systems. So that would be a separate amount. And of course, 2024 would be the drop dead date for those installations. Deficiency trends. This chart gives you a little bit of a snapshot of what we're seeing in deficiencies with U.S. or with foreign vessels coming to the United States. By and large, the largest deficiencies relate to logs and records, with a number of other areas that are also somewhat concerning. Logs and records is troubling because that is a primary initial checkpoint for ballast water compliance. When we check logs and records, errors or issues with the logs and records can result in an expanded exam for the vessel, ultimately a port state controlled detention if it's warranted, and other investigations. So deficiencies in that area have kind of opened the ship up to a lot of liabilities, potentially delays and other issues. So we would like to see those numbers come down, hopefully in the future. Operational limitations, of course, most everyone is familiar with the number of complaints that exist with ballast water treatment systems. They do come with problems, that is for sure. Common problems: salinity issues, turbidity, temperature issues, particulate issues, and of course operator error and lack of maintenance. With the key point being here, there just is no single system that we've seen in experience that addresses all of these issues, is plug and play, and will just work at the flip of a switch. We just do not see that existing, and in fact it takes a lot more work to keep these systems operating properly. Some of the keys we've seen to successful operations: one, match the system to your specific vessel operation. We've seen several operators that are getting systems installed at dry docks with new builds in particular, and they are actually not having a say in the type of system that's being installed aboard their vessel. That leads to potential horrible issues, and we strongly recommend vessel owners work their contracts, not to get themselves in that situation. Otherwise, you may have to change your system to actually work for your operation. Run your systems regularly. Many times when people are complaining about these treatment systems not working, malfunctioning, the next question we ask is, well, can we see your operational records for the system? And what we often find is the systems just haven't been run for months. If they're not trading in the U.S., crews are just leaving them off, and that results in maintenance issues and also competence. If the crews aren't running them, they likely are not very competent in running them. Have a contingency plan for repairs and system malfunctions. You're more likely to have a successful port stay when you do have issues that come up if you have a contingency plan. The captain of the port will have to take a look at what you're proposing and will ultimately approve whatever it is that you may need to address those issues. But the most successful situations are where we see operators coming to us proactively with contingency plans. Train the crew on ballast water treatment systems. That, of course, is kind of a given, but we do see that out there where crews just do not have the competence to operate these systems. And communicate issues early to the U.S. captain of the port. So whatever port you're transiting to, if you determine that your system is inoperable, you do need to get that notification to the U.S. that captain of the port very early in the stage. Start that communication so that you can determine what it is you need to do while you're still out at sea that might actually help you in your cargo operations once you get to port. Incentives. This is something that we've heard throughout the industry quite a bit, is that there's a lot of drive to place regulations on board vessels to burden the industry. However, the Coast Guard recognizes it is challenging to manage all of these regulations. And this is just to give kind of a plug for some of the incentives that the Coast Guard does offer to vessel operators. You may be familiar with the Qualship 21 program. That's a program that rewards vessel operators and flags that have a low amount of deficiencies and detentions. It comes with certain benefits that often have some financial incentives operationally for the vessels coming to the U.S. This past year, in 2017, we did add the E0 program to the Qualship 21 program, and that is a incentive specifically focused on environmental compliance. So when we have operators that do not have environmental deficiencies and flags that also have the same records, they can apply to be designated an E0 vessel. And it comes with some of these incentives up here. I'm not going to say this is the most perfect or the most rewarding program out there, but it is something to incentivize compliance. And so you see tank vessels in particular have kind of a pretty significant benefit with extending their annual due date, their certificate of compliance. Results in a little less issues as they come to and from the U.S. And of course, passenger vessels as well have another benefit as well. So I know we're going to have a panel immediately following this, so there may be some other issues that we'll bring up. There's a couple of websites if you are interested in these programs, the E0 program or Coast Guard ballast water management regulations and policies. We do have that available on the internet. And of course, my email, if anybody wishes to contact me or ask any questions, will also be available throughout the day. So feel free to ask me if you have any questions. And that's it. That's all I have.